Alright, here we are for question number 3 in the arithmetic geometric sequence practice problems for this week. Number 3 asks for the geometric sequence, find the common ratio and specified term. So the difference between a geometric and arithmetic, which you probably already know, but we'll just state it here again, is the geometric sequence is constantly multiplying by a number instead of adding or subtracting a number. So that's the main difference, is geometric sequences grow or change, but in a different way than arithmetic. So if we get to the problem, here it is. We want to find the 20th term and we want to find the common ratio. So the variables we use to represent these are u sub, which we're saying is a subscript, u sub 20 is some number, and our ratio is some number. So it's important in that the order we find these kind of matters. One is a lot more straightforward than the other to find. The common ratio is what we want to start with. So the common ratio is found by taking some number in the sequence, say we pick 144, and in this case, dividing it by the previous term. So instead of subtracting it by the previous term, we want to find a ratio, which is talking about dividing the numbers. So r is 144 over 96, or we can find r by taking a number like 96, divide it by 64. We wouldn't want to use 64 because we don't know the term previous to it, which would be the 0th term of this sequence. We can go in that direction, but we won't do that today. So both of these reduce to the same number. They reduce to 3 over 2, or 1.5. So in this case, it doesn't really matter which one we use. Each 1.5 or 3.2 will both do the trick. So if we think about how this sequence is changing, it has a lot in common like arithmetic, except we're just multiplying in this case instead of adding. So if I think about how this sequence is working by writing it out, I start at 64, and to get to the next number, 96, I multiply by 3 halves. That lands me at 96. If I want to go to the next term, the third term of this sequence, I keep multiplying by 3 halves, which lands me at 144. Say I want to find the fourth term of this sequence, I would multiply by 3 halves in this case. Let's check real quick. 144 times 3 halves, 216 is our next term. So there's some similarities in this case in that if I think about how I go from the first term to the second term, I multiply by 3 halves. If I want to go from the first term again to the third term, I multiply by 3 halves 2 times. If I want to go to the fourth term, I multiply by 3 halves 3 times. If I want to say find the 50th term of this geometric sequence, I would multiply by 3 halves 50 minus 1 times. It's minus 1 because we already have the first term of this sequence and we don't want to double count it. So if we're setting out to find the 20th term of this sequence, there's a general formula for this. All it does is multiply over and over and over again. It would be to find any term of this sequence, un. I start at 64 and I multiply by 3 halves n minus 1, or the term I want to find, minus 1 times. This n matches this n. They're the same variable. So when I find the 20th term, to find the 20th term of this sequence, I start at 64 and I multiply by 3 halves over and over and over. That's what exponents do for us, repeated multiplication. I multiply 20 minus 1 times, or I end up to find the 20th term, start at 64, multiply by 3 halves 19 times to find it. So this does all the multiplication for us. Instead of hitting times 3 halves enter, times 3 halves enter, times 3 halves enter, this does it all at once for us. It does one big jump 19 times, multiplying by 3 halves. So 2 ways to answer this. There's the IB version, which is 3 sig figs, and there's the exact version. We'll show both of them. So we can say the 20th term of this geometric sequence is 141,877.6205, or if we want to go 3 sig figs, which is what IB asks for, we would have 142,000. So this is the third of 4 videos that we're going to be posting this week to go over the practice problems. Go ahead and look for number 4. Hope this helped out.